I think being lost comes with getting older. And that's something we're going to talk about a little bit today, is the feeling of lost. I have another video coming up on getting older means getting lonely, but we're going to talk about feeling lost today. Hopefully you guys are ready for the video. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Predator Gaming. Please drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video or you learned anything at all. Let's get right into it. So I usually start these videos off by going through some science-backed things to help with the feeling that we're going over in the video, like I did the How to Be Happy, talked about some science-backed stuff, and then I got into a personal experience to give you guys my personal opinion. So that's the same thing we're going to do. Let's get into some science and talk about, what causes the feeling of loss and how to fix it scientifically. So let's talk about why you're feeling lost. So you may feel like you're away from everything, separated, disconnected from everything around you. You're trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing, what the point of life is in your life specifically, and what the next goal is. It feels like you got no purpose, direction, movement. It's confusing, it's aggravating, and you're going to need help with it. You don't know what to do, and you don't know how to handle your life moving forward. Good news is science says it's normal. Everybody goes through it. So let's talk about the reasons scientifically as to why you may feel lost. Could be life changes, moving to a new state or starting a new job. You don't have friends or routine, loss of a loved one. First off, I just went through the life changes one recently. I moved here, got 2 new jobs in 4 months, trying to figure out where I wanted to go and how I wanted to be and who I wanted to be in the state, because I moved about an hour and a half north of where I used to live in Delaware. So I didn't have those same friends or routines. An hour and a half isn't a far drive, but it's still the point. You could have loss of a loved one, setbacks such as losing your job or business, lack of a support system, so having those close friends or families. This one also affected me. The only people I have really close to me in the particular place that I live in is Delaware. I left a lot of is my mother, and I have a friend who lives about 15 minutes away, but we're both busy, and he works right now he works in the restaurant business, but he worked retail, so that mixed with my schedule wasn't the greatest. It was kind of hard to have that proper time to see each other. But the lack of support system is huge, because I moved away from a lot of my close friends that I spent a lot of time with. Important decisions, so you might have a giant decision ahead of you and you feel overwhelmed by it, or maybe just other people are putting stuff on top of you that you don't think you should have to deal with, and that's causing a problem. The other one that I feel like a lot of men specifically have is a suppressed emotion thing, is that your feelings, regardless of what they are, they help keep you where you're at. And not experiencing them and not going through them when they're happening is probably a good portion of your problem. So a big characteristic of this particular feeling is the feeling like you're going through the motions. There's a list of other ones: mood swings, withdrawal, unable to make decisions, overwhelmed, erratic, impulsive, risky behaviors. But the one that kind of sits with me the most is feeling like you're going through the motions. I feel like there was a movie, and I can't remember the name of it to save my life, but it was a point where the main character wakes up every day and they're already at work and they're already doing their job. And then when they go to bed is when they leave work. They don't really know what life is outside of just going through their day to day. That's the big one that sits with me. So the last thing, let's talk about how to fix this scientifically speaking. So you got to reflect on your needs, spend a little time figuring out what you want, what's wrong, and why you're feeling this way. Look for areas in your life that you could change and how that change could be for the better. Lost is definitely not what you want in life, but change is always a great way to fix that, because you're going to be looking for different ways to find your position and your place in the world, and that eliminates the feeling of being lost. Concentrate on your priorities, focus time and energy on them, and avoid external distractions. Self-care is a huge thing. They talk about meditation. I'm personally not a giant meditation person. I like physical activity. That's kind of my thing. Keeping a journal isn't a bad idea either. And then positive affirmations out loud. I'm not one of those people that walk around saying I love myself every day. I have more mental conversations with myself. I don't know if you guys have the same thing that I have going on, where it feels like my brain attacks me every day. And that's most of my problem with depression and everything like that. So a lot of my conversations are internal monologues with myself. Distance yourself from unhealthy relationships, build a support system, make a healthy routine, and seek support are all scientific answers for this feeling of loss. Now let's talk about my personal experience. So I moved to Delaware, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be. So I ended up at a job I hated just because the money was similar to what I made when I was living in Pennsylvania. And then I left, ended up a job that I didn't like, felt like I was going through the motions just to make a paycheck. And I found I'd been training jiu-jitsu up in Pennsylvania for probably about 10 months when I moved to Delaware. So I found a gym down here, and it took me a little while to kind of get in the flow. And when I started competing was the big turning point for me. I'm a competitive person. I'm naturally a competitive person, and I knew that my whole life. And for some reason, I never really chased it until I was in high school, where I tried to play competitive Call of Duty for probably about 6 years, from like Black Ops or from Ghost to maybe World War II is when I stopped. So whatever amount of years that is competitively, and then I started playing Apex. Really like that. Started trying to compete in that, get a team together. Never really panned out that well. I played in a Halo tournament. I played in a Gears of War tournament. I just compete. That's what I do. I've played in 7 different basketball rec leagues in the last 6 years. I played semi-pro. So for me, it was competition-based, but it doesn't have to be like that for you. It could just be trying something new and finding your place there. I personally think competition is great, and I'm going to make a video talking about competitiveness here soon. But the main point of my whole thing is trying new things. It could be, and I talked about this in How to Be Happy, it could be reading a book and you're not a reader. It could be knitting and you're not a knitter. It could be bike riding and you don't even have to know how to ride a bike to start riding a bike. It's gonna suck and you're gonna fall, but you'll figure it out. Motorcycles, I've heard are a very freeing thing. I know this from personal experience. I actually have my motorcycle license, and I trained, or I took the classes, got the license. I rode a little bit, not a lot, but it is a very freeing experience. I got to get a bike down in Delaware. But freedom is always a good thing for feeling, getting over the loss. And also, when you're doing these things, this is my point. I actually had a conversation with one of my buddies recently talking about something like this. My opinion is that the easiest way to turn off that internal dialogue, the one that's telling you why you're so sad and why you're so lost and everything, is to do something physical and finding an activity. For me, basketball is one of the only activities in the world that I could do, and there's nothing else going on in my brain other than the game. I could be outside shooting by myself, and the only thing going on in my brain is problem solving the game in front of me. And like I said, this could be by myself, and that's the only thing that's up there. Now, there are other activities like I'll do jiu-jitsu, and during the class instructionals, this probably isn't the greatest thing, during the class instructionals, my brain could wander. During the live rolls, somebody's trying to kill me or tap me. We're teammates and everything. But in theory, somebody's trying to kill you, so you don't really have the option to wander. So do stuff that gives your brain, or doesn't give your brain the option to wander. And I feel like you'll probably be a lot better off. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Drop a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.